In 2024, I started chatting with lonely foreigners. Let me give you a quick recap how I landed my first gig or my first chatting with lonely foreigner job. Back then, I worked in the real estate and I got tired. So many things were happening that didn't sit well with me. Now, one of the things that was happening was that the company was going through financial challenge for that particular branch because every other branches were doing really, really well. And I was getting paid for being unproductive. If you understand how companies run, you know that if you're in a place that you're not yielding money, it will be a matter of time before they tell you that you are finally overstayed your welcome. Okay, I didn't want the company to actually issue me a sack letter. I knew I needed to leave on my own. So I resigned, although my boss called me and tried to talk it out, tried to raise and all that. But I knew if that company wasn't generating funds and all the marketers were in town making money, it meant one thing that I would not see chua money. If you work in an organization and you depend only on your salary, then you're going to stay broke for a very long time. So I didn't want that. I needed chua money because all this chua money, it will help you pay transport, do one or two stuff. So I needed to start making money. And then I had to leave. So upon leaving, I had invested in one or two skills and I was trying them out, okay? While trying them out, I was scrolling on TikTok one day and a lady was talking about apps that pays to chat with lonely foreigner. Now she painted it so good and started showing lots of evidences. This one made this money, that one made that money, this one made this money, and that yada 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 yada. And I felt like, oh, if I can chat with people and get paid, it sounded like a brilliant idea. And I already had experience, or so I thought. And then I DM'd this lady, and she told me that, oh, to join a mentorship group, she trains people, yada, yada, yada. And she said these were the amounts. I think she charged me 20 to 25K. And I paid because I was in need of cash. I was broke. I was in need of cash and I had to call somebody to like, please loan me this money or dash me this money. As God will have it, the person dashed me the money and then I invested it on how to chat with lonely foreigners. Now, one thing you need to understand is this: I was broke. I tried so many updates, I had failed. And I kept seeing people cashing out from this, oh, chat with lonely foreigner, people just cashing out back to back. And I was wondering, how are these people doing it? I was already tired of burning my data, wasting my time, and I felt like I was working on my own and I needed to join a group for motivation. Although I've joined several groups, but it was just all this free update group. And you know one thing about free groups now, you're working on your own, nobody's motivating you, nothing, nothing. You can't even DM the admin to ask one or two sensitive questions, and usually the groups are always locked. So I just knew I needed a change because every I had all the bills that I needed to clear. So I had to trust my last card that I borrowed because I didn't want to be borrowing from people. I needed to have my own money and I didn't want people getting worried. So I registered and she moved me from the general group and added me to the private group. And that is when she started explaining how to chat with lonely foreigners and how this app works. She started listing the rules and regulation and started telling me key things I needed to observe. All those things I had ignored them. I never knew anything about them because I was working on my own without experience until she pointed them out. And then the first app I used that she introduced me to was Tango. And she showed me how to go about it. And the first day I went, I didn't really make money. The second day I went, I didn't really make money. The third day I went, I didn't really make money. But one thing about it was the motivation I got. When you go into the app and you come out, when you check the private group, you notice that some persons are withdraw, some persons are dropping tips. There were just explanation, and you could ask questions. So the private group felt like a family where you can actually express yourself and ask questions. And then there was this drive and this motivation that I needed to make money. And I kept showing up. And then I think on the 10th or 12th day, I made my first $110 withdrawal. It was mind blowing. And that was how I got into chatting with lonely foreigners. So give me a like and follow for more updates.